The laughter always finds me first. It slips through the cracks in the wooden wall like smoke, curling around the edges of this cold little room. It is laughter that used to belong to my family, to dinners and birthdays and small victories. Now it sounds like another language I was never taught to speak. I lie still beneath a blanket that smells faintly of dust and paint, listening to them on the other side of the wall. Someone clinks a glass. A song plays faintly from the kitchen. My son's voice carries through it all, warm and bright, the same tone he used when he was a boy asking for extra dessert. My name is Adeline Brewer. Once upon a time, I was a legal consultant, the sort of woman who always had her files color-coded and her calendar precise to the minute. For 40 years, I built my days around other people's order. I knew every rule, every clause, every loophole. Then a small storm inside my brain decided to rearrange everything. A stroke, they called it. Mild, temporary, recoverable. But when you are a widow living alone, the word recoverable becomes a promise that no one plans to keep. Daniel said I should move in with him and Clara until I regained my strength. That was 3 weeks ago. The room they gave me is at the back of the house, the old storage space behind the garage. They told me it was temporary, just until the guest room was redecorated. I believed them. People like me always believe in temporary things. I stare now at the single bulb hanging from the ceiling. It hums softly, trying to stay alive against the wind pressing at the door. The floor beneath the cot is concrete, rough enough to scrape skin if you turn in your sleep. I do not turn. I have learned stillness is warmer than movement. Sometimes I count the sounds to measure the hours. A laugh, a chair scraping, the sound of Clara's phone camera. Then silence, long and thick, followed by the faint creak of the back door. That is when she comes to check if I am asleep. I never move when she opens the door. I let her see what she wants to see, an old woman folded into quiet. She calls softly into the room, not with kindness but with the politeness people use in front of witnesses. "Everything all right, Adeline?" she asks, her accent polished, her tone distant. I nod without looking at her. She holds a mug of tea, lukewarm. I can see the thin wisp of steam fading from it. "I thought you might like this," she says. "Thank you." My voice sounds like paper tearing. She places the mug on the table, glances around the room, and then adds, "Daniel says you prefer it cool, it's quieter here." She waits as if for my agreement. I give her nothing. She wants me to confirm the narrative. She wants to be able to tell people I chose this. When she leaves, she locks the door. Not loudly, not obviously, but I hear the click. It is a soft kind of prison, one built from excuses and politeness. The tea tastes of nothing. I sip it anyway. My hands shake too much to hold the mug steady. It isn't age, it is anger disguised as tremor. On the wall across from me, a small window looks out toward the driveway. The glass is smeared with dust. Through it I can see the faint orange glow of streetlights and the shadow of trees bending in the wind. Once I loved winter. Now it feels like punishment. I used to start my mornings with motion, coffee, briefings, court visits. Now I start them with inventory. Counting the cracks on the ceiling, the boxes stacked beside the door, the memories that refuse to die. When I first arrived, Clara had said, "We'll clean it up together, make it cozy." She even smiled. Daniel nodded, repeating her words as if they were his own. Then the days passed and nothing changed. The boxes stayed. The floor stayed cold, and their smiles began to look like masks that no longer fit. I tried to ask about the guest room once. Clara smiled again, thin as glass. "It's still being painted," she said. "You wouldn't like the smell." That was 2 weeks ago. I sit up slowly now, listening. Their voices drift from the kitchen. I can hear Daniel laugh, the sound wrapped in comfort. I once loved that sound more than anything. I remember him as a child, pressing his small hands against my cheeks, asking me why my work shoes were always dusty. He said he liked the smell of old paper and ink. I told him that justice had a scent, and he laughed, saying I was too dramatic. Now that same boy decides how long I am allowed to live under his roof. I pull my coat tighter and reach for the small digital watch on my wrist. The strap feels cold against my skin. Emma gave it to me on Christmas. My granddaughter, my softest light. "It can record things, Grandma," she said proudly. "Like a little black box for your stories." I had laughed then, touched by her seriousness. I didn't realize how useful that gift would become. I press the side button gently. A red light blinks once. The device hums faintly, alive, ready to remember what others hope I forget. The door handle rattles again. Daniel this time, his voice comes through the thin wood. "Mom, you okay in there?" "I'm fine," I answer, steady. "You warm enough?" "Yes." A pause, then softer. "We'll get a heater soon, I promise, just waiting on the electrician." I smile in the dark. Promises like apologies are cheaper after midnight. When he leaves, I hear him talking to Clara. Their voices are muffled but close enough that the words crawl through the air vents. "She's stubborn," Clara says. "If she freezes to death, at least we won't have to argue about the will." A heartbeat of silence. Then Daniel sighs. "Don't joke like that." "I'm not joking." The sound of their footsteps fades, leaving only the hum of the fridge in the next room. I lie back, eyes open, recording still running. My heart beats slow but strong. They think I am fragile. They think the stroke took away my sharpness. They forget that I built my life on remembering details. There is an art to endurance. You don't survive by shouting. You survive by listening. You gather every whisper, every careless word, every small cruelty they think will vanish in the air. The cold sharpens everything. It keeps me awake, alert, clear. I let my mind wander through the years, back to courtrooms filled with tension, where truth hid behind polished shoes and silk ties. I can still hear the gavel striking, that single sound of finality. I used to think justice lived inside those walls. Now I know it also hides in places like this, behind locked doors and chipped paint. My breath fogs the air. I write invisible words with it, sentences only I can see. Tomorrow, I tell myself I will start collecting evidence. Collecting courage, collecting myself, and when I have enough, I will remind them that silence is never the same as surrender. Outside, a car passes, headlights sliding across the small window. For a moment, the light touches the boxes labeled Mum. I see my reflection in the glass, small, silver hair tangled, eyes open and bright. Still here, still Adeline Brewer. I whisper to the watch, to the darkness, to whoever will one day hear this. They think I don't hear through these walls, but I do. I hear everything. The red light blinks again, recording my breath, my voice, my proof. I close my eyes and let the laughter from the house blur into static. The walls hum like they are keeping secrets, and maybe they are. I have kept secrets all my life. This one will be my last, and it will save me. Sleep does not come. It circles me like a cautious animal and refuses to settle. The bulb above my head hums. I pretend it is the sound of a faraway train and that I am a woman waiting at a platform with a ticket in her pocket and a destination of her own choosing. Pretending is a gentle drug. It works for a few minutes and then the cold brings me back. I sit up and reach for the mug Clara left. The tea has gone thin and sour. I drink it anyway because warm is warm and because swallowing something proves I still belong to my body. The cot creaks. I freeze and listen. No footsteps. No keys. No new lies spoken in a sweet voice. I move to the small table by the wall. Its surface is scored with old knife marks, the kind of table that remembers everyone who leaned across it. On the edge, there is a stack of things I have arranged the way a child arranges shells. A comb with 3 missing teeth, a small notebook, a pen that sometimes writes and sometimes does not. The watch on my wrist keeps its soft red eye open. I take the notebook and open to a fresh page. The page is cruel in the same way winter is cruel. It demands truth. I write down the hour and what I heard. Clara, if she freezes, the paperwork will be simple. Daniel, do not joke like that. I leave a space after that line and write the word tone. I try to capture the way his voice softened and then hardened. Men do that when they are building a bridge between what they know and what they can live with. My handwriting is smaller than it used to be. The letters lean closer to one another as if they are whispering. I add a list beneath the notes. Things to find, proof of lock from outside, photo of guest room label in storage, medicine blister pack count. I stop and draw a small circle beside the word medicine. That one matters. Clara has been carrying my pills in her apron pocket. She says it keeps me from forgetting. But I am the one who refills the box and I can see the pattern of absence. 1 pill missing here, 2 there. Sanity measured in milligrams. Control measured in what you do not swallow. I close the notebook and slip it under the thin mattress. Then I stand slowly because slow is safer and cross to the window. I wipe a crescent in the dust with the sleeve of my sweater. The street looks bruised. The moon slides behind the chimney. Somewhere a fox screams. It sounds like a violin string being tuned too tight. I have always loved the streets of Alderwick at night. They feel older than the day. They feel like they were built for secrets. In the driveway, I see Daniel's car. Clean, efficient, he likes order and speed. Clara's car is next to it. Fast little thing, the color of cranberries. She calls it her escape. I think of escape and it does not look like a car to me. It looks like a room with windows and heat and a door that opens from the inside. I remember a winter long ago when I was 14 and my father lost his job. We lived on soup and pride. My mother stitched lace into the cuffs of her blouses to make them look new. I learned then that survival is an art performed in small motions. You iron the same shirt twice. You smile with your teeth hidden. You become fluent in the language of enough. Years later, when I stood in courtrooms and men tried to talk over me, I knew how to say yes in a voice that meant wait. I built a life out of waiting at the precise moment when waiting was a strategy rather than a defeat. The watch soft chirps against my skin, a tiny reminder that it is still listening. I whisper to it like it is a friend. The time is after midnight. The house is awake. Clara never sleeps early. She nests in the bright heart of the kitchen, phone in hand, scrolling through other people's lives. Daniel sometimes joins her. They talk about the future like it is furniture they have already purchased. I wonder if I am in that future as anything other than a bill to be paid. I move to the shelf by the door and pull down a box that says Mum. It is lighter than it should be. I set it on the table and lift the lid. A folded scarf greets me first. Blue wool gone thin with years. It smells faintly of my own perfume and of the cedar blocks I used to tuck into drawers. Under the scarf is a cluster of frames wrapped in newspaper. I unwrap them carefully. My husband stares out from one photograph, his smile shy at the corners as if happiness might be scared away by too much attention. In another picture, I am standing beside a judge whose hair looks like a powdered cloud. The caption on the back is in my careful print. New appointment. Winter term. I trace the edge of the frame with my finger, and the past hums under my skin like electricity. Under the photographs, there is a folder. The tab reads Guest Room in Clara's round, cheerful letters. Inside the folder are color swatches and a printed schedule from a decorating website. The schedule is last month's date. The final line reads completion target first week. I check the current week in my head and understand quietly that the target was never time but my patience. They did not redecorate. They delayed. The plan was not a plan. It was a polite fog. I hear a click on the other side of the wall, the sound of a cupboard closing. I put the folder back and pull the scarf over my shoulders. The wool remembers how to be warm. I hold it in close with one hand, and with the other I reach beneath the cot for a shallow plastic storage bin. Inside is a mess of things. Cables, a cracked picture frame, a small plastic bag with a handful of paper clips and a brass key. The key is old. It used to open a desk in my office. I keep it because some objects are a map. They remind you that you once held rooms that opened when you asked them to. Another sound now. Daniel's voice low in the hallway phone by the back door. He thinks the hallway swallows his words, but the vent above the water heater carries them to me. It is an old vent. I found it on the first night by following the draft. He says my name. Then he says she is fine. Then he says she is stubborn. Then he says the doctor is slow with paperwork. The word paperwork makes my skin prickle. Paperwork is the instrument with which you either free or bind someone. I know this. It was my instrument for decades. His tone is the tone of a man who is trying to keep a promise to himself while breaking it to someone else. I sit very still and let the words pass through me. Then he lowers his voice further and asks about timing. I do not catch the answer from the person on the other end, but I hear him say guardianship. The word lands like a stone in my lap. He does not say it with fear. He says it the way a person says the name of a city they would like to visit. I press the watch again just to be sure. The red light does not waver. It is a tiny star that outlasts clouds. Clara joins him. I hear her sliding on the floorboards in her soft house shoes. She tells him not to worry. She says phrases that are not spoken to me but are about me. She says it will be easier when she forgets more. She says we should not drag this out. She says people get used to change if you never let them rest between changes. I have heard that sentence before in strategy meetings where corporations tried to make people accept less by moving the goalposts until the field felt new. It is ugly work no matter the stage on which you perform it. Their conversation drifts away. Maybe they move to the lounge. Maybe they go upstairs to the bedroom where I am not allowed to place my feet because the carpet cost more than my first car. The house falls back into its familiar hush. The refrigerator murmurs. The wind presses and releases. I take the scarf tighter and slide back onto the cot. The mattress dips in the middle like a tired boat. I close my eyes and think of Emma. I think of the way she said the word record as if it were magic, as if recording could make moments immortal. Perhaps she is right. Perhaps immortality is only the public version of remembering. I picture her face when I tell her the truth one day. Not just the truth about this room, but the truth about what love is not. Love is not silence demanded. Love is not control disguised as care. Love is not a locked door with a soft voice on the other side saying it is for your own good. I practice saying things in my head so I will not stumble later. The way a witness practices before a hearing. I form sentences that hold steady even when my hands do not. I catalog the details the way I used to catalog case files. Temperatures, times, names, tone, sequence. I decide that tomorrow I will count my pills in front of Clara and watch her face. I will ask for the guest room tour. I will ask Daniel about the electrician by name and see whether he has one. People forget that questions are mirrors. They show you the outline of what has not been done. The watch vibrates lightly to tell me the hour. I do not know which setting Emma programmed to do that. It comforts me anyway. Time is still moving and I am still inside it. I am not a discarded coat. I am a woman whose breath fogs the air and leaves proof on glass. Before I try again to sleep, I do one last thing. I crawl to the door and study the frame. The lock is outside, simple, with a clean metal face that catches the light. I look for scratches, for signs of recent installation. There is a faint circle around the screw head. New, I place my fingertip there. Cold, I lean in close and I can smell the metal. Sharp, specific, the fragrance of certainty. I return to the cot and I do the oldest magic I know. I remind myself of who I am in a voice so quiet that only I can hear it. I say my name, I say my age, I say where I am, I say what is happening, I say what I am going to do. The sentences line up like soldiers. They are not dramatic, they are ready. My name is Adeline Brewer. I am 68 years old. I am in the storage room at the back of my son's house. The door locks from the outside. My daughter-in-law controls my medication. They are discussing guardianship. I am recording this. I will call Fiona. I will call Mervyn. I will ask for help in the language I taught to other people all my life. I breathe in and the air burns a little in my chest. I breathe out and it turns to a small cloud that wanders away. I watch it dissolve and I think of all the words women my age are told to swallow. Troublesome, burden, confused, dramatic. I will not swallow those words. I will write new ones on the same air where they tried to hang their labels. The bulb finally gives up and leaves a faint orange coma behind it. Darkness settles in layers. The watch glows, my eyes adjust. I hear the house complete one more cycle of breathing. Somewhere upstairs, Clara laughs in her sleep. People like her believe that winning is ease. People like me know that winning is endurance. I slide the notebook from under the mattress and write one last line. Let the cold keep me. Let it make my memory bright. I sign my name as if I am signing a statement. The pen catches, but the letters land. When I lie down again, the cot surrenders and holds me. For a moment I am 19 and brave and poor. For a moment I am 35 and sharp and needed. For a moment I am exactly who I was this morning and who I will be tomorrow. And then I let the night climb over me like a heavy coat I chose. The red light on my wrist watches with me. It is the last thing I see before my eyes finally close. I do not sleep, I anchor. And in that anchoring I become the version of myself that can wait without breaking. The wind rattles the door. The house sighs. Quiet moves across the floor like a tide. Somewhere in that quiet I feel an old power return to me. Not the power of titles or offices or a signature that makes people stand straighter. This is the power of someone who refuses to be erased. When the first thin line of dawn touches the window, I open my eyes at once. The room has shifted from black to graphite. I sit up without a sound. I do not stretch. I do not yawn. I do not complain. I reach for the watch and I press the button gently. The red eye stops. The file is saved, a perfect shape inside a machine that remembers. Good morning, I tell the room. We are going to begin. The first light of day is thin and quiet. It slips through the window and paints the walls in pale silver. I sit on the edge of the cot and listen to the small noises of the house waking up. Pipes whisper. Floorboards sigh. Somewhere a kettle begins to hum. For a moment it could almost be ordinary. Almost. I stand and fold the blanket neatly, smoothing each corner. Order is a small rebellion. When everything else is taken from you, neatness remains a declaration that you are still in control of yourself. The air still bites, but the cold has become a companion now. It keeps me alert. The door opens without warning. Clara steps inside carrying a tray. She does not knock. She wears a smile that would fool a stranger. Good morning, she says. I brought you breakfast. The tray holds 2 slices of toast, 1 boiled egg, and tea. I nod. Thank you. You look better today, she says. Sleeping well? Well enough. She glances at the notebook on the table. What are you writing these days? Just thoughts. It helps me keep my mind clear. She nods, but her eyes narrow for half a second. She does not like that I am still sharp. She prefers me blurred around the edges. I'll come back later, she says, already halfway out the door. Daniel wants to talk to you tonight about the house. Nothing serious. Of course. When she leaves, I breathe out slowly. I pick up the toast. The butter has cooled and sits like a thin crust. I eat half of it and save the rest. Then I open the notebook and write down everything she said, every tilt of her voice. I underline the words "nothing serious." In my experience, those words often walk hand in hand with betrayal. I spend the next hour watching the sunlight crawl across the floor. I let my mind wander through the years to the day Daniel was born. The hospital window was open and rain blew in. I remember holding him and promising him that he would never feel small. It is a strange kind of heartbreak to realize that a promise can outlive the meaning behind it. Around midday, I hear a car door slam. Voices rise, then laughter. Someone visiting. A neighbor, perhaps. I move closer to the wall and listen. The sound is distorted, but I recognize Daniel's tone, bright and confident. He talks about renovations. He talks about the value of the property. He does not mention that his mother lives behind the garage. The visitor asks a question I cannot catch. Daniel replies, "She's in a care facility now, recovering. We're keeping her things here until she's ready." The words slide under my skin like shards of ice. I stare at the door as if it might speak. A care facility. So I am already gone in his version of the world. I press the button on the watch. The red light glows again. I whisper softly, "Today my son told someone I don't live here." The watch records my voice, steady, calm, exact. Later, when the visitor's car drives away, Daniel comes to the door. He doesn't enter. He leans on the frame, eyes averted. "Mom, about earlier," he begins. "I heard," I say. He hesitates. It's easier to explain that way. People don't understand family situations. "Do you?" He looks at me then, really looks, and I see something flicker in his eyes that used to be guilt and now has hardened into justification. "I'm trying to make things manageable," he says. "You don't need to worry about paperwork or bills anymore." "I like paperwork," I answer softly. He sighs. "That's not the point." "It's always the point," I say. He leaves before I can say more. The lock clicks again. The sound is becoming part of the air I breathe. I wait until his footsteps fade, then I kneel by the small space under the door. The light outside forms a thin golden line. I slide the remaining half of my toast under it, break it in two, and smile when I see a small paw reach for it. A stray cat. She has been visiting these last few nights. I whisper, "You and I, we eat in silence." I sit back and the room feels a little less empty. By afternoon, the temperature drops. Clouds swallow the sun and the wind begins to whisper against the eaves. I light the small lamp Clara forgot to remove. Its glow is weak but kind. I open the folder I took from the box last night and study the renovation plan again. There are smudges of foundation cream on one corner. Clara must have touched it after her morning routine. Details like that are small but important. People leave fingerprints on lies. In the corner of the page is a note in her handwriting. Transfer title once report is signed. No initials, no dates, just that. My pulse slows as my brain arranges the information. Report, transfer, title. There it is, the shape of what they plan. I take another page from the notebook and start a new record. I write the date and the words found written note ray transfer. I photograph it with the watch's hidden camera. A faint click. Proof. The evening crawls in slowly. The light outside turns the color of bruised fruit. I hear the distant sound of traffic heading toward the city. Alderwick breathes differently at dusk. The cold carries voices farther. I can hear music from a house across the street, a piano played badly but with passion. It reminds me of my husband again, of how he used to hum while fixing the radio. The memory steadies me. I open the notebook and begin writing him a letter. Not one that anyone will read, but one that arranges my thoughts. I tell him about the room, about the cold, about the watch and Emma's small, clever hands. I tell him that our son has forgotten the lessons we tried to teach him. I tell him that I am not done yet. Writing the words feels like lighting a candle in a cave. When darkness finally arrives, I am ready. I change into the heavier sweater, the one with holes at the cuffs. I sit by the door and listen. Upstairs, the television murmurs. Clara laughs. Daniel says something I cannot catch. I know their rhythm now. They will sleep around 11. The hallway light will go out. That is when I will move. At exactly 11:15, the noise in the house dies. I wait 10 more minutes to be sure. Then I stand and take the small mirror from the box. I crouch by the keyhole and angle the mirror just enough to see the lock from inside. There is a gap between the latch and the frame, a flaw small but real. I take the pen, slide it into the gap, and push gently. The metal clicks. The door opens a breath. I freeze. The hallway beyond is dim. The air smells of cinnamon and detergent. I slip through the gap, careful not to let the door close behind me. The floor is cold even through my socks. I move toward the kitchen. On the counter, I see 2 glasses of wine half full. Beside them, a stack of papers, neatly clipped. I lean closer. The top page carries the title Declaration of Incapacity. my name below it, a blank space waiting for a doctor's signature. I take a photograph, then another. My heart beats in a steady, slow rhythm. I replace the papers exactly as I found them. On the fridge, there is a calendar marked with bright stickers. In 3 days, there is a note written in Clara's hand. Meeting solicitor. I back away and return to the storage room. I close the door gently and relock it from the inside, aligning everything just as before. The red light on my watch still glows. I whisper to it, 3 days. That is the time they gave themselves. Let us see what truth can do in 3 days. I lie down, but sleep is unnecessary now. The night is full of clarity. Outside, the wind howls against the roof and the world feels enormous again. I reach for the notebook and write one last sentence for the day. Justice begins quietly. I close my eyes and listen to the recording still running. Somewhere in the distance, a siren fades and the house drifts back into silence. I smile into the darkness, feeling the weight of purpose settle in my chest. The cold room is not a prison anymore. It is evidence. It is the first chapter of the case I am building. Tomorrow I will start gathering witnesses, even if they do not yet know they are part of my story. Morning arrives without sound. The frost on the window has drawn small white branches across the glass. I sit up slowly, every joint stiff from the cold, and for a moment I forget where I am. Then the ache in my bones reminds me. The storage room. The cold room. My exile dressed up as kindness. I fold the blanket and smooth it again. I have decided that no one will see disorder in me. They can call me old, frail, difficult, but they will not call me careless. Control begins with small things. Clara brings breakfast an hour later. She wears perfume that smells like new furniture and lemon. Her smile is brighter today, which means she has already decided something about me. Good morning, she says. We're heading into town. Daniel has errands. You'll be fine here for a few hours. I always am. She sets down the tray, toast again, tea again, and leaves before I can say another word. The door clicks, soft as a sigh. I wait for the car to leave, listening to the hum of the engine fade. The moment the sound dies, I move. The notebook goes into the pocket of my cardigan. I switch the watch to record and cross the room. My hands find the screwdriver I hid under the shelf 2 days ago, one I found in the box marked tools. I kneel by the wall where the paint has bubbled. When I press lightly, the plaster flakes away. Behind it there is a thin gap and I see the glint of metal. A vent, that is where the voices travel. I widen the crack, careful not to make noise. Inside, cobwebs move like slow smoke. I can see a slice of the kitchen through it, a strip of light, a corner of a chair. If I lean closer, I can even smell coffee. I whisper softly, "Thank you." The house itself is on my side. The notebook opens on my lap. I write everything I observe. Vent, wall thickness, sound carries. I draw a small map of the room, marking every gap and corner. It feels like returning to work, like preparing for a hearing. Evidence, observation, timing. These are the tools that never age. Outside, a bird lands on the windowsill. It taps the glass with its beak, curious. I smile. Maybe it sees its reflection and mistakes it for company. I know that feeling. I reach into my pocket for the crumbs from breakfast and scatter them near the pane. It stays, pecking, small and defiant against the cold. I whisper, "Stay as long as you like." The clock on the watch tells me 2 hours have passed. They will not be back soon. I cross to the boxes near the door. The one labeled garden tools is heavier than it looks. Beneath a tangle of hoses, I find an old folder with the corner torn. Inside are papers, insurance, bank letters, one envelope addressed to Daniel Brewer, unopened. I slip it into the pocket of my coat. Later, I will open it carefully over the sink so I can steam the seal without tearing it. I return the box to its place and sit on the cot again, heart steady. I feel the rhythm of planning coming back to me. Each act is a thread, soon there will be a net. The sound of tires on gravel reaches me, too early. I put everything away and sit, hands folded. The door opens. Daniel stands there, wind-burned and impatient. "Mom," he says, "you didn't answer when I called." "I didn't hear the phone." He holds it up. "It's right here on the table." I shrug. "Then maybe I was thinking." He frowns. "You should keep it with you. What if you fall?" "I won't fall." He looks around the room, his eyes scanning the corners. For a second I think he sees the disturbed plaster, but he doesn't. "We'll bring the heater later," he says. "Clara ordered one." Of course she did. He doesn't notice the tone. He nods to himself and leaves. I listen to his steps fading, the sound of the car again, and finally silence. I let the breath I've been holding escape. The notebook opens again. Under today's date I write, "Daniel checked the room, did not notice changes. They underestimate detail." The day drifts by like thin smoke. I read old case summaries in my mind, remembering the rhythm of testimonies, how people reveal themselves in what they repeat. Clara repeats the word temporary. Daniel repeats the word fine. Both words mean nothing. Evening falls early. I sit by the window and watch the streetlights flicker on one by one. My reflection appears in the glass, pale and tired. I raise my hand and trace the outline of my face. Still here, I whisper. At 7, the front door slams. Voices again, laughter again. The vent trembles with sound. I move closer, notebook ready. Clara says, the solicitor confirmed Friday. We just need the doctor's report. Daniel answers, he said she was lucid last time. That was before the fall, she replies. One small signature and we're done. Are you sure she'll sign? She trusts you, Clara says. She always will. The sound of a wine bottle opening. I close my eyes and let their words burn into memory. The watch captures every syllable. I imagine the scene, the two of them in the warm kitchen, her hand on his arm, his guilt softened by the glow of light and drink. It's not hatred I feel, it is study. Watching them is like reading a case file written by arrogance. Later, when they go quiet, I whisper to the darkness, every lie leaves a footprint. I touch the wall again. It vibrates faintly, a living witness. I take the folder from under the mattress, the one marked guest room, and tear out the last page. On the back, I write a single word in capital letters, Friday. Beneath it, I draw a line and write, call Fiona Green. Then I hide it inside the pillowcase. The night deepens. I can hear the ticking of the watch like a small heart beside my own. I reach for the mug of cold tea and drink the last of it. My mind feels clear, sharper than it has in years. Maybe the cold does that. Maybe clarity only comes when comfort is stripped away. I lie down and close my eyes, but I do not sleep. I listen. Every creak, every breath, every silence becomes part of the record. The cracks in the wall are no longer flaws. They are doors for the truth. Before I let my body rest, I whisper into the dark. They think they built my cage. They do not know I am already mapping the exits. The red light on my wrist winks like an ally. The house breathes. The night holds its secrets, and I hold mine tighter. The next morning comes with a noise that does not belong here. A knock, not at my door, but at the front of the house. I hear Clara's voice, smooth and cheerful, greeting someone. I move closer to the vent. The sound carries clearly. A man speaks. Older, hesitant, Mrs. Brewer asked me to come check the wiring, said you needed a heater installed. My pulse quickens. Clara answers, oh right, that, she must have been confused again, we'll manage ourselves. The man hesitates. She sounded clear on the phone. There is a pause, then Clara laughs lightly. She's clever, isn't she? You'd think she was still in charge of her office, but the doctor says she shouldn't handle calls. My stomach tightens, the door closes. I hear Clara's steps cross the kitchen floor, sharp, quick, irritated. She picks up the phone. Cancel that appointment, she says. Yes, she must have found your number in an old book. No, we don't need it. Her voice softens again when she finishes. I hear the sound of her pouring water into a kettle, calm, collected. She lies with ease now. It is no longer practice. It is nature. When the silence returns, I sit back on the cot. I press the button on my watch and whisper, she intercepted the electrician. She claims I am confused. I open the notebook and add a new entry. Clara prevents outside contact. Spoke to electrician. Used doctor's name. Pattern of control confirmed. I sit for a long while thinking. Every word, every step is now part of a web I am weaving carefully. In law, you learn that proof is not always dramatic. It is often quiet, like a thread invisible until the light hits it. At noon, Daniel visits. He carries a plate of sandwiches, smiling in a way that feels rehearsed. How are you, Mom? Cold. The heater's delayed, he says quickly. Clara's working on it. I nod. The electrician said he was canceled. He freezes. Electrician? Yes, the man you called. I didn't call anyone. Then maybe Clara did. He frowns. Mom, you shouldn't talk to strangers. It's confusing enough for you lately. The word confusing lands heavy. I look straight at him. I'm not confused, Daniel. I am cold. There's a difference. He sighs, the sound of a man trying to remain patient. You need rest. I do, but not from reality. He leaves without another word. The door clicks again. This time I hear the lock turn twice. I smile. Overreaction always reveals guilt. The afternoon stretches like slow honey. I listen to the house breathe. Through the vent, I can hear Clara humming as she cleans. The same tune again and again, a melody that once sounded sweet but now feels like mockery. When she leaves the kitchen, I crawl close to the vent and whisper softly into it. You should have let the man in. He would have seen the truth. The walls are too thin to hold your lies. It feels good to speak even if no one hears. My words bounce back to me, small echoes of defiance. Later, when the light fades, I take the envelope I stole from the box and hold it over the steaming kettle. The paper softens. I slip a knife under the flap and lift it gently. Inside there are bank statements unsigned and a letter addressed to Daniel from a property lawyer. My name appears twice. The words estate and guardianship sit too close together. I photograph each page with the watch. Click, click, tiny flashes of light that mean safety. Then I reseal the envelope and slide it back into the box. As I move the hose aside, I notice something else, a framed photograph lying face down. I pick it up. It is of Daniel and Clara on a beach, smiling, sunburned, arms around each other. The frame is new, but the glass is cracked. A single hairline fracture runs through Daniel's face, cutting it neatly in two. I run my finger along the crack. Accidents always leave messages. I set the frame back down and cover it with the hose again. Then I sit on the cot and pull the scarf tighter around my shoulders. The cold has deepened. My breath fogs in front of me. I can almost see the shape of my thoughts. When the clock shows 6, I hear the front door again. Clara returns alone. No Daniel tonight. Her voice floats through the vent, sharper than usual. She talks on the phone. No, he doesn't need to know yet. I'll handle it. Yes, I'm sure. She can't last much longer in that room. Once she catches another chill, it will settle things naturally. The sentence cuts through me. I press the watch button again, my hands trembling only slightly. I whisper, she plans to wait for illness. Premeditated neglect. Statement recorded. I sit still until her footsteps fade upstairs. My pulse slows again. I feel the strange calm that used to come before closing arguments in court, that space where fear turns into focus. I take out the notebook. Under today's date I write, they expect nature to do their work. They underestimate my endurance. I add another line below it. Silence can be weapon or shield. I will choose which. Outside, snow begins to fall. I watch it through the window, tiny flakes spinning in the light. The world looks peaceful, but peace is often just what you see when you are not close enough. I think of Emma. Her birthday is next month. I wonder if she will ask why I haven't called. Clara probably told her I'm resting. I imagine her face when she learns the truth. That thought warms me more than any heater could. Before sleeping, I decide to leave a sign for myself. I tear a small corner from the notebook, write the words "Remember Friday" and slip it into the crack in the wall above the vent. If they ever move me from this room, I will know where to look. I lie back, eyes open, watching the ceiling. The paint is peeling near the bulb. The cracks spread like veins. I think of them as roads. Every road leads somewhere, even if it begins in the dark. I whisper to the watch, to the night, to the girl I used to be. Justice needs time, and I have time. The snow keeps falling, soft and relentless. I let the sound of it fill the silence. My mind stays awake long after my body grows still. I dream not of escape, but of the day they will be forced to listen. By morning the world will be white and new, but I will still be here, beneath it, waiting, recording, alive. The world outside my window has turned white overnight. Snow covers the garden like a sheet pulled over a secret. The trees look skeletal and the air moves slow, thick with cold. I lie in bed and listen to the creak of the roof. The sound is almost gentle, as if the house itself is shivering. When I lift my wrist, the watch gleams faintly in the pale light. It has become the one object in this room that feels alive. I press the button and it vibrates once, waiting for my command. I whisper into it, snow on the ground, still locked, still listening. The red light blinks once and steadies. I keep my voice low, soft enough that only the device and I can hear. I have decided this will not be a diary. This will be testimony. Every second recorded here is a seed. Someday they will bloom in courtrooms or headlines. I stop and smile to myself. Maybe that is too dramatic, but drama has its use. It makes truth impossible to ignore. At breakfast, Clara comes in wearing her thick robe, a cup of tea balanced in one hand. She opens the door without looking at me. The steam curls into the air between us. "Morning," she says. "Morning." She sets the cup down and fusses with the curtain as if she cares about light. "We'll have to keep you in here today. Roads are bad, too cold to move you around." "Of course. Daniel's working from home, he'll check on you later." I nod and watch her carefully. She avoids my eyes, the nervous gesture of someone rehearsing politeness. "Clara," I say, "I had the strangest dream. Someone was knocking on the window, but it wasn't a person. It was the wind." She smiles uncertainly. "You and your stories." "I suppose I've always liked evidence of invisible things," I say, letting the words hang. She doesn't answer. She leaves, the lock clicks. I listen to her steps fade. Then I whisper, "I used to tell juries that truth is like wind. You cannot see it, but it leaves patterns. You learn to read them." I sit at the table and open the notebook. I copy the words from last night, "Justice needs time." Then I add a new line, and time is patient with those who listen. Through the vent, I hear Daniel's voice. He is on the phone again. Yes, she's stable. The doctor will sign after one more visit. No resistance, she's calmer than before. He pauses, then laughs quietly. Yes, once that's settled, we'll list the property. It's a good market right now. I don't write this down immediately. I just sit there, letting the words settle like dust. Property, market. Words that once meant strategy now mean betrayal. When the conversation ends, I press the button on the watch. Daniel confirmed sale after guardianship approval, I say clearly. Then I add quietly, he has my patience to thank for his proof. A soft tap on the door makes me jump. It is Clara again, holding a folded sweater. I thought you might want this, she says. It's one of yours from the attic. I take it from her, running my hand over the wool. Thank you, I say. You kept it clean. She hesitates in the doorway. Daniel worries, you could be more cooperative. I've always cooperated, I answer. I just never confused it with surrender. She blinks, unsure if she should be offended. Finally, she forces a smile. Lunch soon, she says, and closes the door. When she is gone, I breathe deeply and pull the sweater on. It smells faintly of lavender. The warmth sinks into my shoulders and I feel my heart slow down. There is something comforting about old clothes. They remember who you were when the world did not question it. I sit by the window again. The snow outside glows under a weak sun. For a while, I let myself think of Emma. Her voice on the phone last month, her laughter bright and clean, the kind that makes silence jealous. She had asked if I liked the watch. I had told her it was lovely. I hadn't known then how much more it would become. I lift the watch to my lips and whisper as if speaking to her. You gave me a memory that listens, darling. You gave me a weapon disguised as care. The watch hums. I imagine her voice saying she is proud. Around noon, Daniel knocks again. He doesn't wait for permission before opening the door. How's the cold? It's constant, I reply. He looks around the room. His eyes stop on the boxes. Clara thinks we should move some of these out, more space for you. Everything in here belongs to me, I say. You can move the boxes when I leave. That's not what I meant. I know exactly what you meant. His mouth tightens. Mom, please, don't make this harder than it has to be. I tilt my head, curious. For whom? He exhales, long and heavy. We're trying to take care of you. I never asked for caretakers, I asked for family. He stands silent, the air between us thick with all the words neither of us will say. Then he turns and leaves. When the door closes, I start the recording again. My voice is soft but precise. Daniel Brewer exhibits defensive guilt, avoids direct admission, still rationalizes neglect as care. Subject believes outcome justified by intent. It sounds clinical, but it helps to strip the pain out of truth. I speak as if I am building a case because I am. Later, when the sun begins to fade, I decide to test the vent again. The air coming through is warmer now. I press my ear close. Clara is speaking quietly. We should move the documents tonight. She's been asking too many questions. Daniel answers, she's not going anywhere, relax. Clara lowers her voice. I saw her writing, she's keeping notes. Daniel laughs. So what? Scribbles on paper won't change the signature. I smile. Oh, Daniel, you underestimate paper. It built empires before you learned to walk. The evening slips into stillness. I sit with the watch glowing on my wrist. It hums gently, a steady pulse beside my own. I think of all the voices it now holds, the collection of moments stitched together by silence. I touch the surface lightly. You're my witness now, I whisper. And witnesses never forget. I stretch out on the cot and let exhaustion take over. The snow outside continues to fall, each flake carrying the same message. Nothing stays buried forever. As I drift between waking and sleep, I dream of courtrooms. I dream of standing again behind a desk, papers in hand, voice steady, eyes unflinching. I dream of speaking the words that turn pity into respect. The cold fades in that dream. There is only the sound of justice breathing. When I wake, the world is still white. The cracks in the wall have grown whiter overnight, fine lines branching toward the ceiling. I trace one with my finger and whisper, you too are listening. The watch blinks twice. Somewhere deep in its tiny machine heart, it keeps every truth I feed it. The time will come when I let it speak for me. But not yet. Not until I decide the story is ready to be told. By mid-morning, the world is blindingly bright. The snow outside reflects light into the room, so sharp it feels like a second sun has risen just for me. My eyes water. I blink against it and smile faintly. Even the cold has its theater. The house is quiet today. I hear no laughter, no clinking of cups. Only the low hum of the refrigerator and the distant tick of a clock that isn't mine. I take the silence as invitation. It feels like the kind of pause before something shifts. I press the watch button once and say, Day 3. weather severe. House quiet, subject alone. The light steadies. I tuck the notebook under my arm and stand. My knees ache, but the pain is familiar, manageable. The wall near the vent catches my attention. The crack has widened more overnight. I crouch and push my finger lightly into the plaster. It gives way with a faint crumble. Behind it, I see wood. Old, dry, unpainted. I tap gently. Hollow. A cavity. I find the screwdriver again and pry the edges open until I can fit my hand through. Inside the space, there is a small box wrapped in brown paper, tied with thin twine. For a moment, I simply stare at it. The air smells of dust and old memories. I pull the box out slowly and place it on the table. My name is written on it in faded blue ink, Adeline Brewer. The handwriting is my husband's. My throat tightens. I sit down and undo the twine with trembling fingers. Inside are letters, dozens of them. I unfold the first one carefully. It is dated 20 years ago, just after he died. His writing, neat and deliberate. My dearest Addie, if you find this, it means you kept the house as I hoped you would. I know how hard it is to let go of control of order of the world we built from our names. I trust you to keep fighting for your truth. If Daniel ever forgets who you are, remind him with the same strength you once used to remind judges of the law. I stop reading. Tears blur the words. I press the paper to my lips. The scent of old ink, faint and metallic, fills me. I whisper, you always knew I would need reminding. I take out the rest of the letters and stack them neatly. Each is sealed with his initials. I do not read them yet. Some truths must wait for the right silence. I open the notebook and write a single line. Found evidence of prior intent. Husband's letters hidden within structural cavity. Potential proof of long-term concealment. Then I pause and write beneath it, or proof that love plans ahead for survival. The difference between love and control is preparation without expectation. I close the notebook. Through the vent, faintly, I hear Daniel's voice again. No, we'll move her next week. Yes, we have the papers. She can't contest. The doctor said she's deteriorating. I almost laugh. Deteriorating. If only they knew. I am sharper now than I have been in years. Fear, it seems, is an excellent stimulant. I hold the watch close to my lips and say softly, they plan relocation. Confirm Friday meeting. Continue observation. The light blinks red like a heartbeat. Around noon, I unwrap one more letter. This one is shorter. Addie, if ever you are alone, remember that walls keep secrets but also protect them. The difference is who controls the lock. I look up at the door. The lock gleams faintly in the light. I smile. I think I'm ready to take back control, I whisper. I push the letters back into the cavity but keep one, folding it carefully into the pocket of my cardigan. Then I replace the plaster pieces as best as I can. The room looks unchanged, but everything in it feels different now. When Clara brings lunch later, her voice is bright again, too bright. You've been quiet today, she says. Thinking, I answer. About what? Locks, I say simply. She blinks, confused. Locks. Who owns them? I add. Her eyes flick toward the door, then back to me. You shouldn't worry about things like that. I don't worry, I say. I analyze. She hesitates for a moment before smiling again. You always were the clever one. When she leaves, I whisper into the air, yes, and cleverness grows teeth when cornered. The afternoon stretches slow. I pace the room to keep warm. The letters in the wall have changed the air, as if they exhale courage. Every few minutes I glance at the watch, making sure the light still pulses. It feels like a companion now, a pulse twin to my own. As evening falls, I sit by the window. The snow outside glows blue in the fading light. I open the letter again and read it aloud softly, the words filling the cold air. Walls keep secrets but also protect them. I whisper. So do I. I press the button on the watch again. Tonight's note, I am gathering more than evidence. I am gathering will. Their plan depends on my silence, but silence is no longer my weakness. It is my weapon. I close my eyes and imagine the house from above, small, fragile, a bright box in a sea of snow. Inside, two predators sit in warmth, certain they are safe. They do not know the cold is learning their patterns. When the last bit of light fades, I rise and go to the vent. The air smells faintly of smoke and wine. I can hear Clara laugh. Daniel says something and she laughs again, louder, forced. They are nervous. They know I know something. Good. Let them wonder what it is. Let them begin to taste their own fear. Before I lie down, I whisper into the darkness. You built a prison, but you forgot that the prisoner used to write laws. The watch glows back at me, red and unwavering. I smile, tired but certain. Somewhere deep inside the walls, the house seems to shift, like it, too, has decided whose side it's on. I fall asleep holding the watch close to my chest, my husband's letter folded between my fingers. The snow keeps falling. The silence hums. And in the middle of that silence, the first faint crack of change begins. I wake to the sound of wind rattling the window. It's early, maybe dawn, though the light outside looks like the color of stone. The snowstorm has thickened overnight. Flakes slam against the glass like small, desperate hands. I pull the blanket higher and listen. For a moment, it sounds like the house is breathing, long, slow sighs through its wooden ribs. When I reach for the watch, it vibrates softly, loyal, and alert. The small red light pulses against my wrist. "Good morning," I whisper to it, half smiling. "We survived another night." The air smells faintly of smoke, perhaps from the fireplace upstairs. I imagine Clara wrapped in a soft robe, her hair loose, pretending she belongs in warmth. Daniel will be checking emails, pretending he belongs in control. I sit up and open the notebook. The pages are filling fast. I flip to the newest entry, yesterday's notes about the letters. I run my finger along the words, careful, slow, proof, motive, pattern. Each line builds toward something larger, something that will one day stand taller than their excuses. I begin to write again. Day 4, weather severe. Found letters from husband hidden within wall. Psychological strength increasing. Intuition alert. I pause, then add, walls carry memory. They whisper when listened to. When I close the notebook, I hear footsteps above me. Daniel. The floor creaks once, twice, then stills. I hear a door open, then Clara's voice. "You need to do it soon," she says. "I will," Daniel answers. "After Friday, no point rushing before we have the signature." What if she refuses? She won't. She always caves when I get serious. Clara laughs, low and thin. "And if she does?" There's a pause before Daniel says, "Then I'll make sure she does." The words strike like a match in dry air. I stay still, breath shallow, heart steady. Every syllable is a gift. When the sound fades, I touch the watch. "Record complete," I whisper. The light blinks twice. Proof locked inside a heartbeat. I rise from the cot and move to the vent. Cold air breathes through it, carrying faint smells, coffee, toast, the ghosts of comfort. My fingers rest against the wall and I whisper softly, "You've heard everything. Keep it safe." The day drags. The sky outside never brightens. I lose track of time until Clara's knock breaks the silence. She enters without waiting. "We're going into town later. Do you need anything?" "Yes," I say. She looks surprised. "What?" "Paper, ink, and a heater that works." Her smile stiffens. "We'll see what we can do." She glances at the boxes again, at the wall, at me. I can almost hear her thinking, "You've been writing a lot lately." "I always write," I answer. "It's what keeps my mind clear." She studies me for a long moment, then says, "Daniel's worried. He says you're starting to imagine things again. Then perhaps he's forgotten who taught him imagination." Her eyes flash with irritation. "We're doing our best." "No," I say softly. "You're doing what's convenient." She doesn't reply, her lips pressed together as if she's holding something sharp between them. Then she leaves, the lock clicks, I let out a slow breath, I press the watch and speak calmly. Subject Clara shows defensive aggression, avoids direct confrontation, physical distance maintained. The words sound clinical, distant, but they keep me anchored. They remind me I'm not just enduring this. I'm documenting it. By afternoon, I can't stop thinking about the letters in the wall. My husband had hidden them for a reason. He had always trusted architecture more than people. "Walls don't lie," he used to say. "They only echo." I kneel by the wall again and place my ear to it. The house hums faintly, wind moving through unseen channels. But under that hum, there's something else. A rhythm, soft, repeating, tap, pause, tap. At first I think it's the pipes. Then I realize it's coming from the other side. A pattern, intentional. I hold my breath and count. 2 taps, then 3, then silence. I whisper, "Who's there?" The taps stop. Then faintly 3 more, my pulse quickens. I sit back, staring at the wall. The sound doesn't return. Maybe it was the wind. Maybe it was. I wait listening for almost an hour. Nothing. Finally, I take the notebook and write, possible contact through wall, pattern of taps, investigate later. Evening falls early. The house settles into its nightly rhythm, footsteps, laughter, a television hum. I hear Clara tell Daniel she'll be out tomorrow morning. Shopping. He grunts in reply. I take that as opportunity. Tomorrow I'll test the wall again, maybe find the other side of that sound. Before I lie down, I press the watch and speak softly. If there's someone else here listening, I'll find them. If not, then the house is speaking to me and I'll learn its language. The wind picks up outside. The window trembles. The bulb flickers weakly overhead. I close my eyes, still whispering. Walls don't lie, they only echo. When sleep comes, it's shallow, restless. In my dream, the house breathes louder, each exhale a whisper that sounds like my name. When I wake again, the snowstorm is gone. The world outside glows blue and white, still and endless. The silence feels expectant, like the pause before a verdict. And in that silence, I hear it again. 3 taps, pause, 2 taps, someone or something is answering. The second series of taps stops my breath. I freeze mid-motion, my hand still clutching the edge of the cot. The rhythm is deliberate, human. I move closer to the wall and press my ear against it. The wood feels cold, almost damp, but the sound is clear now. 2 taps, pause, then 1 long drag like a finger tracing the inside of the plaster. "Who's there?" I whisper. My voice comes out small, uncertain. The tapping repeats, 3 short, 1 long. My heart beats faster. It isn't random. I know codes. Years in law taught me how to listen to patterns. Someone is trying to speak. I grab the pen from the table and start mimicking the rhythm against the wall. 1 tap, 2, silence. Then I wait. The answer comes instantly. 2 short taps, 1 pause. I can't translate it, not yet, but I feel the intent behind it, a pulse in reply to mine. "Where are you?" I whisper again. Silence. Then, faintly, something scrapes against the floor on the other side. A movement. Someone there. I sit back on the cot, my breath shallow. Could it be a neighbor, an old tenant's room behind this wall? No, this part of the house faces the garden. Beyond it, there should be only snow and the shed. Unless the shed has more to it than Daniel and Clara said. The sound stops, but it doesn't leave me. It lingers like an unfinished sentence. I pick up the notebook. Heard repeated knocks from within western wall. Not plumbing, distinct rhythm. Possible occupant behind shed. I underline the word possible 3 times. When the house grows quiet again, I press the watch button. New development, I say softly. If there is another voice, it means the cage is not complete. Cages are never as solid as their makers believe. The light flickers once, capturing my words. The day stretches slow. The sky turns dull gray. Snow melts in streaks down the glass, leaving pale rivers that catch the light. I sit by the window for hours, waiting. No sound. It's late afternoon when Clara returns. I hear her car before I see her shadow move past the curtain. She's talking on the phone. Yes, everything's fine. She's quiet today, probably finally giving up. Her laughter floats up like perfume, sweet, poisonous. She knocks once and enters without waiting. She carries groceries, her face flushed from the cold. "I brought soup," she says, too brightly. I nod. How thoughtful. "Daniel's out tonight," she adds. "You'll have me for company." The words slip out before I can stop them. "I'd rather have the wind." Her smile falters. "You can be very ungrateful sometimes." "I'm just honest." She places the bowl on the table with a little more force than necessary. Soup spills over the rim, dark and thick. "Eat while it's warm," she says, turning away. The lock clicks again. I stare at the bowl for a long time before tasting it. The flavor is bitter, too heavy with herbs. I eat enough to keep suspicion from showing and pour the rest into a jar under the cot. Tomorrow I'll test it with the silver spoon I kept from the kitchen. Silver darkens when poison hides in warmth. As the evening deepens, I lie down, the sound of wind shifting outside. The vent hums softly. I wait. Then it comes again, the tapping. 3 short, 1 long, a pause, then 3 more. I rise slowly and tap back, repeating the pattern. Silence. Then a faint scraping, like something heavy being moved. I press my ear to the wall and hear breathing. I whisper, "Who are you?" The answer is a single soft word, muffled but unmistakable. "Help." I freeze, my pulse thunders. "Who is this?" No reply, only the whisper of movement fading away. I sit there for a long time, my back against the wall, listening to the space that now feels alive. I think of the shed behind the garden. Daniel had said it was storage. I've never seen inside. I record into the watch. Heard a human voice through western wall. Female. Said help. Will confirm when safe. Possible evidence of secondary confinement. The sentence feels unreal even as I speak it, but truth rarely arrives in comfort. Hours pass. I can't sleep. The word echoes in my skull, help. It sits heavy in the air, a plea woven into the foundation of this house. When dawn breaks, I finally move. The window glass glows pale again. I wipe a small circle clear and look out. The shed stands behind the garden fence, small and crooked, its roof sagging under snow. For the first time, I notice a thin wire running from the main house toward it, half buried in frost. Power. That means heat. That means life. Someone is there. I sit back, mind racing. If they've hidden someone, everything changes. It's no longer about neglect. It's crime. I smile without meaning to. They've overreached, I whisper. And overreach always leaves proof. I press the watch again. Tomorrow I test the door. If I can open it, I'll reach the shed. The wall speaks truth, and I will answer. The house creaks in reply, long and low, like it approves. Outside, the snow begins to fall again, slow and deliberate, covering every footprint but mine. The morning begins with a sound that feels like memory returning. A soft creak in the ceiling, the groan of wood adjusting to the cold. The storm has passed, but the world remains locked in silence. Everything feels suspended, even the light, pale and hesitant, spilling through the frosted window. I sit up and listen for the voice again. Nothing, only the faint hum of the vent. Still, I know what I heard. The word help doesn't vanish because daylight arrives. The notebook lies open beside me, last night's entry half finished. I add a single line beneath it. Voice consistent, must confirm source. Possible captive. Then I stop. The word captive sits heavy on the page. I underline it once lightly, as if to test its weight. When I press the watch, its pulse answers instantly. Day 5, I whisper. I have reason to believe someone is being held nearby. The shed may not be storage. The red light steadies, silent and loyal. The door rattles. Clara's voice filters through, sugar-sweet. Breakfast here. I'm not hungry. You should eat, she insists. I said I'm not hungry. A pause, her tone shifts, still calm but colder now. Daniel's worried. You're not yourself. I'm exactly myself, that's what worries you. She doesn't reply. After a moment, her footsteps retreat. I wait until I hear the front door close, the sound of her leaving for errands. That's my chance. I pull the blanket aside and stand, my knees aching but steady. My fingers trace the edge of the door. The lock is external, but the latch mechanism inside has loosened over time. 2 nights ago, when I tested it, I felt it give slightly. Now I take the screwdriver I hid beneath the cot and slide it into the gap again. A faint click. The door yields a breath. I open it slowly, wincing at the creak. The hallway beyond is empty. The air smells faintly of lemon and dust. I move silently toward the kitchen, my bare feet making no sound on the cold tile. On the counter sits a pile of mail. Bills, letters, advertisements. One envelope catches my eye, addressed to Daniel Brewer, stamped from the city council. I slide it open carefully. Inside, a notice about property inspection for secondary dwelling on premises, dated 2 weeks ago. The signature line blank, secondary dwelling, the shed. I fold the letter and slip it into my cardigan. Then I move toward the back door. Through the window, I see the garden, still blanketed in snow, the shed standing crooked and gray at the far end. My breath fogs against the glass. The lock on the back door is simple, a twist latch. I turn it. The cold air rushes in like a shout. I step outside. The snow crunches under my feet, each step echoing louder than I want. The wind bites, sharp and metallic, carrying the faint smell of rust and smoke. I keep low, moving along the side of the house toward the shed. As I near it, the silence changes. There's a hum, electric, faint but steady. The same hum I hear through the wall at night. I stop a few feet away. The padlock on the door looks new. Shiny brass against weathered wood. I crouch down, studying it. A movement inside. Quick, small. Then a voice, muffled, a whisper. Hello? I freeze, my breath catches. Who are you? I whisper back, no answer at first. Then faintly, please, help me. The same voice from the wall, higher than I expected. Young, female, my pulse pounds in my ears. I lean closer, keeping my voice low. I will, but you have to be quiet. Are they gone? For now. A pause. Then, they said they'd come back tonight. My blood runs cold. How long have you been here? I don't know, days, maybe more. The voice breaks on the last word. They said I was sick, that I needed to rest, but they locked me in. I press my hand against the door, feeling the vibrations of her breathing. What's your name? Grace. Grace. The name hangs in the air like a fragile thread. I'm Adeline, I whisper. I live in the house. I'll get you out, Grace, I promise. A sound from the distance, an engine. My heart stops, Clara's car. Quiet now, I say quickly. I'll come back when it's dark. Please don't leave me, she whispers. I have to, I say softly, but I'll return, that's a promise. I move back toward the house, careful to erase my footprints with each step. By the time Clara's car turns into the driveway, I'm already back inside, door locked, blanket around me, pretending to rest. She enters moments later, humming as if nothing's changed. Did you have a good nap? Peaceful, I lie. She smiles, but her eyes sweep the room, searching. You're pale. Maybe you shouldn't move around so much. I've been right here, I say evenly. She studies me for a long moment, then leaves. The door locks again. When I'm certain she's gone, I turn to the watch. My voice is steady now, cold as the air outside. Found captive in shed. Female, early 20s. Name, Grace. Claims confinement under false pretense. Lock verified. Plan to document evidence tonight. The red light blinks once, then twice. I whisper, we're not alone anymore. The thought fills the room, heavy and alive. I press my palm to the wall again. For the first time, the house feels like it's listening with me. When night falls, I'll go back. And when I do, the truth will no longer whisper. It will scream. Evening arrives slow, the sky bruised with purple clouds. The light fades in thin bands through the window, turning the frost on the glass gold, then gray, then black. I sit at the table, watching the last bit of sun vanish behind the trees, counting down each minute until the house grows quiet. Clara moves through the rooms upstairs, her steps sharp, restless. Daniel came home an hour ago, his voice thick with fatigue. They argued. I could hear them through the vent, the edge in Clara's tone, the weary irritation in his. She's too aware, Clara said. She's old, Daniel replied. She'll tire herself out. And what about the girl? She's not our problem anymore. That was all I needed to hear. The girl, Grace. Now the house has fallen silent. No footsteps, no murmurs, only the steady tick of the old clock in the hall. It is time. I pull on my heaviest coat, tucking the screwdriver and my small flashlight into the pocket. The watch blinks faintly against my wrist, already recording. Night of day 5, I whisper. Both suspects asleep, proceeding to confirm presence of second captive. The latch on my door resists at first, then gives way with a small metallic sigh. I open it slowly, holding my breath. The hallway beyond is dark, lit only by the faint orange glow of the streetlight leaking through the curtains. The floorboards creak as I move, careful, measured. I pause outside the kitchen, listening. Nothing. The refrigerator hums, steady and low. I make my way to the back door. The cold air presses against the glass. The lock turns with a soft click, and the wind rushes in, carrying the scent of frost and soil. Outside, the garden glows faintly under the moonlight. The snow has hardened, a smooth, pale crust that crunches underfoot. Each step sounds too loud, but there's no turning back now. The shed waits at the edge of the yard, dark and hunched beneath its roof of snow. My breath fogs in front of me. The padlock gleams faintly in the light. I kneel beside it and press the screwdriver into the gap. Metal groans. I twist harder, heart racing. The lock resists, then snaps open with a sound that seems to split the night in half. I glance back at the house. No lights flicker on. No movement, only silence. I push the door open slowly. The smell hits me first, damp air, something like bleach, something like fear. The small flashlight beam cuts through the dark, revealing stacks of old furniture, a covered table, and in the far corner, a thin figure wrapped in a blanket. Grace. She looks up when the light touches her face. Her eyes widen, then soften. You came back, she whispers. Of course I did. I cross the room quickly, crouching beside her. She can't be older than 22, maybe 23. Her face is pale, lips cracked from the cold. A small metal chain connects her ankle to a pipe. My stomach twists. We need to move quietly, I say. Do you know where the key is? She shakes her head. They keep it inside, in a drawer. The woman said it was for my safety. I bite back my anger. We'll find another way. The screwdriver is too small to break the chain, but I test the bolts. Rusted, old. If I can't unlock it tonight, I can weaken it for tomorrow. Grace's voice trembles. Who are you? My name is Adeline Brewer. I live in the house. Her eyes widen further. They said you were sick, that you didn't talk to anyone. I smile faintly. They lied. She lets out a tiny laugh, one that turns into a sob. I reach for her hand. You're safe now, I say. I'll come back tomorrow. We'll get you out of here for good. She squeezes my fingers, weak but certain. Please hurry, I don't want to die here. You won't, I whisper. I promise. I pull out the watch and angle it toward the chain, recording the lock, the pipe, the bruises on her wrist. Evidence documented, I murmur. Victim located, restrained, conscious, responsive. Grace watches me, confused but trusting. What are you doing? Making sure no one can deny this, I say. I stand, moving quickly now. The cold is sinking into my bones. I close the shed door behind me but leave the padlock loose, just resting in place. The snow has started to fall again, fine, glittering flakes that swallow sound. Halfway to the house, I stop. A light flickers on upstairs. Daniel's silhouette appears at the window. My heart stutters. He's looking outside. I drop low behind the hedge, holding my breath. The light stays on for a long minute, then goes dark again. When I finally slip back inside, I lock the door behind me and press my back to it, breathing hard. My hands tremble. My pulse feels like a drum under my skin. The house is quiet again. I move to my room, shut the door softly, and sit on the cot. My reflection stares back from the window, pale, tired, but alive. I press the watch. Contact confirmed. Victim, Grace, female, early 20s. Confined in shed with visible restraint. Evidence recorded. Extraction planned for tomorrow night. The red light pulses, saving every word. I close my eyes. For the first time in days, exhaustion feels heavier than fear. I lie back on the cot, still in my coat, still clutching the watch. My husband's letter presses against my chest, and Grace's voice echoes in my mind. You came back. Yes, I think, I came back. The snow thickens outside, smothering the world in silence. Inside the house, the walls hum softly, not a whisper of fear now, but something else entirely. Anticipation. Because tomorrow, everything changes. Morning feels different. The air is sharp but alive, like the house itself knows what's about to happen. I wake before the light fully breaks, heart already steady with purpose. There's no room for hesitation now. The plan is forming in my head, clean and simple: proof, escape, exposure. I sit at the table, the notebook open in front of me. My handwriting has grown smaller, tighter, precise. I write, Day 6, objective, free grace. Obtain legal evidence of unlawful confinement. Confirm financial motive of suspects. I pause, then add a single sentence beneath. If I fail, the watch will speak for me. The red light blinks as if it understands. Outside, the garden lies still. The snow glows faintly blue under the early sun. The shed looks harmless again, just wood and frost and silence. No one would guess what's inside. The lock on my door turns. Clara enters, smiling her usual smile, the kind that sits too high on her face. Good morning, Adeline, you look rested. I dreamed of summer, I say, the kind where air smells like freedom. She laughs softly, the sound brittle. You do love your metaphors. I like truth dressed nicely, I reply. Her eyes narrow slightly, then she changes the subject. Daniel's gone to the city. He won't be back until late. It's just us today. Perfect, I nod. Lovely, I enjoy your company. She studies me for a moment too long, then leaves. The door clicks behind her. I wait. Listen. Her steps fade, then the faint sound of a cupboard opening, dishes moving, water running. She's distracted. I move fast. The screwdriver slides into the latch, one firm push, and the lock gives. I open the door just wide enough to slip through. The hallway is bright with winter light. I grab my coat and the folded letter from my husband, a small reminder of strength, and move silently toward the back of the house. Through the window, I see Clara outside near the car, brushing snow from the windshield. She's humming. She doesn't look up. I cross the kitchen and open the drawer by the stove, the one she always keeps locked. Not today. Inside, papers, keys, and an envelope marked Dr. Lowell. I don't touch it yet. I search for the key Grace mentioned. It takes only seconds to find, a small brass one with a blue ribbon tied around it. My pulse quickens. Footsteps crunch outside. Clara's coming back. I close the drawer and slip the key into my pocket. I'm back in the hallway before she re-enters the kitchen. The next few hours stretch long. I stay in my room, pretending to read, pretending to nap. When Clara checks in, I smile and thank her for the tea. She doesn't notice that my shoes are already by the door ready. By late afternoon, she leaves again. I hear her on the phone. Just picking up dinner, don't wait up. The door shuts behind her. The car engine fades down the street. Now, I open my door, move through the hallway, and step out into the cold. The garden crunches beneath me, every sound loud in the still air. The shed waits, dark and small, a secret in plain sight. When I reach it, I take out the brass key and slide it into the lock. It fits perfectly. The chain clinks once, then falls free. Inside, the air feels heavier, thick with damp. Grace looks up from the corner, her eyes widen when she sees me. You came back, she breathes. I told you I would. I kneel beside her, unlocking the shackle at her ankle. It takes effort, but finally it clicks open. The metal drops to the floor with a sound that feels too loud, too final. She winces, rubbing her wrist. They'll kill me if they find out. They won't, I say. We're leaving. She shakes her head. Where can we go? Somewhere that listens. I have proof. I hold up the watch, its small light blinking. Every word they've said, every sound, every lie, they can't erase it now. Grace stares at it like it's something holy. You recorded them. I recorded the truth. I help her stand. She's weak, but her grip is strong. Together, we move toward the door. The cold slaps our faces as we step outside. For a moment, it feels like freedom is real. Then a voice cuts through the air. Mom, Daniel. He stands by the back porch, coat half-zipped, eyes wide. The shock on his face quickly turns to anger. What are you doing? I step forward, keeping my body between him and Grace. Ending your lie. He shakes his head, his voice rising. You don't understand? I understand perfectly. You kept her here. You planned to use my name, my illness, my silence, but you forgot who taught you what words mean. He takes a step closer, jaw tight. Put that down, he says, nodding at the watch. No. Mom, you're confused. Then let the recording prove it, I say, pressing the watch button. Say something honest for once. He freezes. The silence stretches between us, sharp and brittle. For the first time, he looks small. Grace trembles beside me, her hand clutching my arm. Please, she whispers. Daniel's voice breaks the air again, low and desperate. You're destroying everything. I meet his gaze. No, Daniel, you did. Behind him, I hear the crunch of tires, Clara's car returning. The headlights sweep across the snow, blinding for a moment. Grace flinches. She's back. I turn to her, voice steady. Then tonight we finish this. The wind rises, carrying the smell of snow and fear. I glance once at the watch, its red light glows steady, recording everything. The night of glass has begun. The headlights wash over us, slicing the garden in white light. For a split second, no one moves. The cold air holds its breath with me. Grace presses closer, her fingers shaking against my sleeve. Daniel's shadow stretches long and thin across the snow, as if even the light itself wants to pull away from him. Then Clara's car door slams. "Daniel," she calls, her voice bright and careful, the tone she uses before the lie begins. He doesn't answer. He's staring at me, the old confusion flickering in his eyes, but now it's layered with something else, fear. "Inside," I whisper to Grace. We step back toward the shed, but the beam of Clara's flashlight catches us. "What are you doing?" She shouts, the voice cracking through the night. "What the hell are you doing with her?" Her words hit Daniel more than they hit me. He flinches, turns half toward her. I told you to stay in the car." "Why is she outside?" Clara takes another step forward, her boots crunching on the snow. "Daniel, what is going on?" Grace trembles. "She locked me in here," she says, the words tumbling out, raw and terrified. "You both did. You said it was for treatment, but—" Clara's face goes pale in the light. "Oh God, she's delusional." I raise my arm, the red light of the watch glinting like a small heartbeat. "Say that again," I tell her. The recording likes details. Her eyes dart to the watch, and for the first time I see the mask slip. A flicker of panic, she steps back. "Daniel, take it from her," she says. "She's not well. This is what I warned you about." Daniel doesn't move. His jaw tightens. He looks between us, between his wife and his mother, between guilt and the wreckage of excuses. "Daniel," I say quietly, "look at her. Look at me. Which one of us is afraid of the truth?" His lips part, but no sound comes. I take one step forward, slow and steady. "You wanted guardianship. You wanted the house, the money, but you built your cage too close to mine, and now you're caught in your own lock." Clara's breathing quickens. "Stop this madness." "The madness," I say, "was believing silence would protect you." The snow begins to fall again, thin, glittering flakes, soft and soundless. They land on my coat, my hair, Grace's trembling hands. Everything feels strangely still, like the world is waiting for one final sentence. Daniel speaks first, his voice is hoarse. "It wasn't supposed to be like this." "No," I say, "it rarely is." He steps toward me, uncertain, his hand half extended. "Give me the watch, Mom, please." I shake my head. "You've taken enough from me." Behind him, Clara moves. Quick, a flash of metal in her hand, the same brass key, catching the light. She lunges. "Adeline," Grace screams. I twist instinctively. The blow misses my wrist but catches my shoulder, a hot shock of pain. I stumble backward, the watch nearly slipping from my grasp. Daniel shouts, "Clara, stop." She turns on him, wild-eyed. "She'll ruin us." He grabs her arm, but she fights, the two of them slipping on the ice, the sound of struggle sharp and human and ugly. The flashlight falls, spinning light across the snow like shards of glass. I stagger toward the shed, pulling Grace with me. "Inside," I hiss, but Daniel's voice cuts through the chaos. "Call the police." Clara freezes. "What?" "Call them," he says again, breath ragged. "Tell them everything." Her face twists, anger, fear, disbelief, then something in her breaks. The fight drains out. She steps back, chest heaving, the brass key dangling uselessly from her hand. The sound of my watch beeps softly, still recording. Still alive, I turn toward Daniel. "You do it," I say. He nods slowly, takes out his phone with shaking fingers. "Yes, I'd like to report a crime." His voice wavers, but he doesn't stop. "There's a woman being held here, my wife." His words dissolve into air, but it's enough. The call is made. The wind howls once, carrying the last of his excuses away. We wait in silence after that. The snow falls thicker, blanketing everything, the garden, the footprints, the broken lock. Grace leans against me, crying softly. Clara stands apart, her face pale and rigid. Daniel sits on the steps, hands in his hair, the phone still open on his lap. When the flashing blue lights appear at the end of the street, they look like the pulse of truth itself moving through the storm. The officers arrive fast, voices calm and professional. They separate us, ask questions, write things down. I hand them the watch, the light still blinking. "Everything you need is here," I tell them. Every sound they thought no one could hear. One of them takes it gently, nodding. "We'll need your statement, ma'am." "You already have it," I say. Grace is helped into a car. Daniel and Clara are led toward another, their voices swallowed by the snow. When the last door closes, the world is quiet again. The storm softens. The house behind me stands still and hollow, stripped of its lies. I walk to the edge of the yard, where the first light of dawn begins to show behind the clouds. My shoulder throbs, but the pain feels honest, a reminder that I am still here, still mine. I whisper to the wind, justice takes time, but it never forgets. And in that fragile light, the snow glitters like 1,000 tiny witnesses, remembering everything. The next morning begins not with silence, but with voices, real ones, human ones, steady and official. The kind that speak in full sentences, not whispers or lies. I wake in a room that smells of antiseptic and paper. A police station, or maybe a clinic. The line between the two has blurred over the years for people like me. A soft voice breaks through my thoughts. "Mrs. Brewer, can you hear me?" I blink at the light. A young officer stands beside the bed, a clipboard in hand. Her uniform looks too new, her eyes too kind. "You've been asleep for several hours," she says. "You're safe now." The words land like a promise I've waited too long to believe. "Safe," I repeat quietly, testing it on my tongue. "Yes," she says. "Your son and his wife are in custody. The girl, Grace, she's being cared for at the hospital. She asked me to tell you thank you." I close my eyes for a moment, breathing in the weight of it. Grace is alive. She's free. When I open them again, I ask, "The watch?" "It's in evidence. They said it recorded everything." "Good," I say. "Then the truth will speak for itself." The officer nods, as if she understands, though she can't possibly know the depth of those words. She leaves me with a cup of water and a file of papers, statements to review, forms to sign. Bureaucracy, the slow machinery of justice. I almost smile. I've missed this rhythm. Hours pass. I sit by the window, watching the world beyond the glass. The snow has melted in patches, revealing mud and grass, the early bones of spring. The house is gone from sight, but I can still feel its presence, quiet now, emptied of deceit. When Detective Mills enters, the room changes temperature. He's middle-aged, solid, the kind of man who's seen too much and trusts too little. He closes the door behind him and sets a recorder on the table. "Mrs. Brewer," he says, "thank you for your patience. I just need to clarify a few things." I nod. "Go ahead." He sits, flipping open a folder thick with papers. "You were held in your home for approximately 6 months under what your son described as medical guardianship." "That's correct." "And during that time, you discovered evidence suggesting your son and daughter-in-law intended to declare you legally incompetent in order to sell your property." "Yes." He looks up from his notes. "And the watch, you used it to record their conversations?" "I used it to remember," I say, "but remembering became evidence." He nods slowly, considering. "We've reviewed the recordings. They're compelling, not just the parts about the girl, everything. The manipulation, the planning, the forged signatures." I sit back, feeling a strange calm. They thought silence was safety. They forgot silence listens. A faint smile flickers across his face, respect maybe. "Grace's statement matches yours. She was brought there under the pretense of therapy. They told her she had to stay until her panic attacks stopped." I look down at my hands. "She was their trial run. I was their finish line." Mills exhales slowly. "We'll handle the rest." "DA's already preparing charges. I'd like you to testify if you're able." "I'm more than able," I say. "I'm ready." He studies me for a moment. "You're a strong woman, Mrs. Brewer." "I was a lawyer," I reply. "I've spent my life arguing for people who didn't have voices. It seems fitting that mine found one again." He stands, collecting his papers. "We'll be in touch soon, and, for what it's worth, your husband's letters, we found them in the wall, just as you described. Beautiful words." I smile faintly. He always knew how to build a case for love. When he leaves, the room feels lighter. I walk to the mirror. My reflection startles me, thinner, older, but alive in a way I haven't been for years. My eyes look sharper, like the edge of a truth freshly honed. Later, when I'm alone, I take out the notebook from my coat pocket. The last page is nearly full, but there's room for one more entry. I write, "Day 7, freedom confirmed, justice pending." The world spins forward again, carrying the weight of all we've seen. The walls remember, the snow remembers, and so do I. I close the notebook and rest my hand on it, breathing slow and even. Outside, the wind carries the faint sound of church bells, distant, uncertain, but hopeful. For the first time in a long time, I let myself believe in tomorrow, because this isn't just survival anymore. It's testimony. A week passes before the trial begins. The courthouse smells of old paper, varnish, and nerves. Its marble floor echoes every step like a heartbeat. I used to walk these halls with confidence, heels clicking, folders in hand, the air humming with arguments waiting to be made. Now I walk slower, steadier, my wrist still marked faintly where the watch once pressed its truth into me. They take me through the witness corridor, a narrow passage with white walls and a small window at the end. Through it, I can see the courtyard, patches of grass pushing through the last bits of snow. The world is thawing, as if the earth itself is exhaling relief. "Mrs. Brewer," says Detective Mills, joining me outside the courtroom, "you don't have to push yourself too hard today. The recordings speak for themselves." I look at him, calm and clear. "I know, but I need them to hear my voice too. They need to know I'm not just evidence, I'm witness." He nods once, respectful. Then the clerk opens the door. "We're ready for you." The room smells of heat and tension. People shift in their seats. The judge, a woman with silver hair and eyes that weigh everything they see, sits above it all. The prosecutor greets me with a small nod. On the other side of the room, Daniel and Clara sit at the defense table. Daniel looks smaller than I remember, his shoulders hunched, his hands clasped so tightly that his knuckles shine white. Clara, always poised, sits rigid, her lips pressed together, the edge of her composure fraying at last. The bailiff swears me in. I raise my right hand and promise to tell the truth, as if truth were something I could ever put down. When I take the stand, the world goes still. The microphone hums faintly. "Mrs. Brewer," the prosecutor begins, "can you describe your relationship with the defendants?" I meet Daniel's eyes. "One is my son, the other his wife. Once I thought of them as family." "And when did that change?" "When they locked my world into silence," I say softly. "When they mistook control for care." The room stirs, quiet gasps, the shuffle of pens. The prosecutor continues, leading me through the story, the isolation, the manipulation, the forged papers, the lies about my health, the hidden girl in the shed. I speak slowly, clearly, each word a nail securing the structure of truth. Finally, she holds up the small device, the watch. Its surface gleams under the lights. "Is this the item you used to record your son and daughter-in-law?" "Yes," I say. "It began as a gift from my granddaughter. She thought I might feel less lonely if something listened. I suppose she was right." A faint ripple of sound passes through the courtroom, a murmur, a shared breath. The prosecutor presses play. Daniel's voice fills the room, cold, calculated, undeniable. "We'll sell the property once the doctor signs." She's calmer now. She doesn't even know what's happening. "It's just business, Clara. Don't make it emotional." Every syllable echoes like a strike of iron. The courtroom listens, frozen, the air thickens. When the clip ends, there's a long silence. The judge exhales quietly. The prosecutor looks at me again. "Mrs. Brewer, you chose to record these moments. Why?" I glance at the ceiling, then back to her. "Because I knew no one would believe the word of an old woman over the signature of her son. I recorded it not to prove I was sane, but to prove they were." The judge leans forward slightly. "And what about the girl, Grace?" "She's the proof that monsters hide in ordinary rooms," I say. "They told her she was sick so they could own her silence, but silence always leaves fingerprints." When my testimony ends, the defense does cross-examine. Daniel can't look at me. Clara tries once, but her gaze falters halfway and she looks down instead. The judge calls for recess. I step out into the corridor, feeling lighter and heavier all at once. Detective Mills waits by the door. "You did well," he says. "I did what I've always done," I answer. "I told the truth and I let it do the work." He smiles faintly. "The DA thinks the verdict will come fast." "I'm not worried about speed," I say, "only accuracy." Later in the courtyard, I sit on a bench and watch the sunlight melt the last bits of ice. A nurse passes by with Grace beside her, wrapped in a soft coat. Her hair is brushed now, her face no longer pale. She spots me and stops. "Adeline," she calls. I stand and she runs to me. When she hugs me, it's quick and warm like a heartbeat shared. "They said I could start classes again soon," she says, smiling, "and they're finding me a new place to live, somewhere safe." "You deserve that," I tell her. She looks at me, eyes bright. "So do you?" I smile. "I already have it. It's not a house. It's this air that doesn't lie, a voice that's mine again." She nods. We sit together in the sunlight until the bells ring from the courthouse tower, marking the hour. It sounds like something closing and something opening at once. When Grace leaves, I stay a little longer, watching the trees shift in the wind. I take out my notebook, the last page waiting. "Final entry," I write. The walls are silent now, but silence doesn't fright me anymore. It listens without taking. It holds without hiding. I have spoken, and the world has heard. I close the notebook, fold my hands, and let the wind carry the last of the winter away. Tomorrow will come unrecorded, unwitnessed, beautifully ordinary. And that, after everything, is its own kind of justice.